Okay, our subject today, our topic today are loops or cycles. We call it in English loops, in Ukrainian we call it цикли. And again, from topic to topic, I should say that it is crucial topic. Every topic is crucial, so I catch myself to think, okay, I'm saying it every lecture, but this is it. This is very basics, and it is really crucial topic. So, first of all, let me say and let me emphasize that every application you use, for example, Instagram or Telegram or any other application full of loops. So for example, if you have list of posts and you want to represent that post in the same manner, like every post have kind of picture and likes and share button and author, it is common layouting for every post in our social media platform. But you will not program each other post separately. You program representation of this just one time. And then what? Then you have many posts, many data for that posts. And you just put all of that into loop. And in that loop, you have one repetitive code. And this code is building this presentation of that post. And this code will be repeated many times, as many as how many posts do you have here. You should just repeat the same code. Repeat, 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 and just put another data into the same code. So this is the idea of loops. So these loops are everywhere, just literally everywhere. So it is another huge topic. Hopefully many of you familiar with that. Some of you are not familiar with that, so we will talk about that. So first of all, I will draw in the first part, and then I will switch to IntelliJ IDEA. It's working properly. So yeah, and there are three types of loops we have, for example, in Java. And let's say in other languages we have something similar. So first we have for loop, second we have while loop, and third we have do while loop. So every of that loops have some different syntax, but idea is the same. All right, so let me start from the while loop. So as you know from English, while means that some condition, if some condition is true, let's talk in programmer language, then do something. So while, then I put here a condition. Very similar to if condition. It is just the same idea. We have in if, and we have these brackets, and we have condition here. So the same idea here. So this condition result should be Boolean. Boolean. Then you already familiar with these brackets. So we open these brackets, and we could have any amount of operations here inside this loop. And then we could close our brackets. Of course, again, like what if, I could remove these brackets and have just one line of code, just one operator. It is also possible, but it is not so common. In most cases, you have a lot of operations, like several at least operations inside your loop. So, by the way, we have kind of interesting experience here while you listen this lecture. So you have computers, before you, and just few people have notebooks, but I recommend you to note some at least words which I share with you. So, because there are some definitions, there are some ideas, concepts you should know, and they could be new for you. So, either open notebook in your computer, but I suppose it is more convenient to use your hand and to write very quickly some just small points. I don't think all the lecture, but some points you should write for yourself. I recommend to do that. So regarding that, let decompose or let break into pieces this while loop. What do we have? So first of all, we have condition. We have condition for the loop. So you should keep that concept that we have some condition, and if that condition is not working, then loop is stop working. And you should keep your eye on that condition, because if you will have always true here, for example, if I put literally true here inside these brackets, what will we get?
Infinite loop.
Infinite loop, absolutely. Infinite loop. So this code will be repeated infinite. So it will never stop. So that means that we will just break the program, because computer in some moment will tell us, come on boy, I have no memory to do that. And that would be error. So you could not have this kind of infinite loops. So on in some point of your program, you should check this condition, and loop will be stopped. All right. So first it is condition, and second or before or near this condition when loop should be stopped. Could you please write it for yourself also? Condition of stopping the loop. It is so important concept. We should keep that in mind, that at some moment we should have such condition when our loop will be stopped. Otherwise we will have error, or we will have infinite loop, which is not good. So condition of stopping the loop. Right, next. We call this code, for example, I could, again, sorry for my sound, system out println, we could output hello, and repeat many times, just output that in a console, just hello.
I have a question. So,
Yeah.
what does mean sort before hellos?
Yeah, that means there is no such identifier in Java, so it is error on my whiteboard. But because of when you type out in your IntelliJ IDEA, you will have system.out.println. So it is for me just to keep less words on my whiteboard. So for you, it is just to know, just tip. So sorry for this incorrect Java code really on my whiteboard. So keep that in mind. All right. So these operators, these lines of code inside of loop, we call body of the loop. Body of the loop. So it is another term, another concept. We have body of the loop, and that body will be repeated numerous times or several times, depending on our conditions. When our loop is handled, and we have again this repetitive body of loop, we repeat it many times. Every time of repetition, is it correct to say that? Repetition, right? So this one time we call iteration. Could you please remember that word also, and keep that word in your notes? Iteration. So iteration means one traverse of loop, one prohit. I don't know how to say that correctly. Traverse, maybe. Run over. Okay, thank you. So let's say it is one run over through the loop, just one. When we do it one time, we call it iteration. So our loop could have 10 iterations, or 200 iterations, or 3 iterations, or even 1 or even 0 iterations. But we call this with this specific word iteration, which is nice for you to know. This condition of stopping the loop, body of the loop, and iteration. One run over through the loop. All right. Nice. So then let's move to real example. Real example, and I will switch to IntelliJ. I suppose that would be more interesting. First, I will share, of course, my screen with our colleagues here. So, share IntelliJ. So, guys, could you tell me who are online? Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Super. Thank you. Okay, I will command that watch so it will not bother us. So this is the demonstration, for example, of the why loops are so good. So for example, I have.
Sorry.
The TV is off.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. Yeah, a lot of techniques here, a lot of devices, real modern new world. Okay, now I have, okay.
And now we online don't see it.
Yeah, even I don't see that. But it's interesting. Okay, one more time. Do you see now?
Yeah.
It's okay now.
Super. Oh my, these technologies. Ты ж программист, we have this interesting word. So if you programmer, you should install Windows and connect web camera and so on. Okay. So for example, I want to output this these numbers. So I will run that. And you see these numbers, so I just output that. But I should have these 5 lines of code. And now, while using loop, I could make much more or less lines. So, for example, what should I do? Let me introduce new variable, I. Or let me use here, I will use another variable because we will need I later. Okay, k, and let it be equal to 1. So I have this while, I should put condition here. So my idea, I will increase k every time in the body of the loop. And while k is less or equal to 6, so you see my IntelliJ is gently changing this mark, but you know that to make this less or equal, you should put less and then equal without space here. You see?
Less and
Yes. Okay, it is just tricks of modern IntelliJ, modern IDEs. They help us to see more beautiful picture on our screens. Hmm?
我们愿意做学生的。
Okay, so do you trying to do the same, guys? You could play with this while. So, sound, answering your question. I have sound, return, and I system out println. Yes? Do you see that? Okay. So I put just k here. So this is it. And let me run that. Oh no, yeah, because I will have problem. So what the problem?
There will be an infinite loop.
That would be definitely infinite loop. Now, because I make k equal 1, then I put condition k less than 6, and just run the loop, and I never change the k. Never change. So k is always 1. I, by the way, will run that, you will see the problem. Run, and let's go. Woohoo! So, I could say my computer is quite powerful, it's still alive. So, it is still no error, but this loop is never ended. Okay, I will stop that by myself. Okay, so this was typical error of a programmer to have problems with condition when we stop the loop. So I should put something inside the loop to change my variable on which my condition depends. So now let's put our attention here. We have this k variable and k plus plus. What that mean, guys? Do you know? K plus plus. Yeah, we call that increment. So we make k equals k plus 1. So if we had k equal 1, then after this operation we will have k equals 2. So we're just adding 1 to our number k. Right. So let's think how it works. So first iteration of the loop. First iteration. We come to the loop. Which value k will have here? On first iteration, which value?
1.
1, because this iteration from outside we get. Alright, then we go inside the loop. We output. What will we output at this time?
1.
1, alright. Here we make k plus plus, so k is equal what?
2.
2. Then we come back to our condition, because it is how loops is working, how loops are working. So we come here, and what value of k here now? 2. Does 2 less than 6?
Yes.
Yes, so that's why we again go inside the loop. So we output what?
2.
2. Then we have 3 here, and we come back to condition. So 3 less than 6, is it true?
Yes.
That's true, so that's why we output 3, then we get 4, then we again come here, 4 less than 6, true, output 4, we have 5 here, we come back here. By the way, why I put 6, not 5, because I want to, so okay, one more error. So, come here, 5 is less than 6, is it true? Absolutely true. So output 5, and my desire was to output this. But now, what do we have? I come here, I have 6 now, right? Does 6 less or equal 6? Yes, so we will have one more output. We will output 6. After that, 6 plus plus, what do we have? 7. Does 7 less or equal to 6?
No.
No, that's why at this moment we will not go inside the loop. Okay, let's then run it. Run. And now I have first output of my just literal output, and after that I have my loop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it is how it works. All right. So one more thing I want to show you. We just have these drawings and we just move through this loop. You could do it with instruments with debugger. So let me show how to do that. So first of all, let me put a breakpoint here. So hopefully you should work with your assignments to do that, watching the videos, but let me show it again. And then I run debug. Okay, so because I have breakpoint just here, introduce maybe another variable. For example, I have variable L and say while L less than, for example, K. And I could do something here also. Print without a len, for example, print something, and I don't know, I will print L, and not forget to make L++. So inside my loop, I put another loop, because this is the essence of programming. I create inside some code, some block of code, I could put anything there. And I will run that and see what will we get. Okay, I have error, so well done. Yeah, L equals 0, let's say. Now, hopefully that will work. This is it, this is my result. First iteration, or I don't know, yeah, maybe this is first iteration, then second, third, and so on and so forth. So you see inside my loop, I have another loop. Why not? And if I put, so I understand that here things become complicated for you, but I just want you to know that you could input loops inside the loops. And I run that. So let's see how it works, step by step. I come inside my outer loop, move forward. Okay, I see this value of L, then L less than K. Is it true? K equals 2, because I had K++ already, all right. L equals 0, L less than K, true, all right. Move inside this loop, move inside this loop. So we have inside this loop several operations, then we move again, new iteration of outer loop. Then again, move inside, and again, different iteration inside, and so on and so forth. Do you understand the idea?
Yeah.
All right. So just imagine yourself in some sports when you should run through the sport ground, and on the end of sport ground to do some repetitive things and move to another part of sport ground and make another repetitive things and go back and forth. So it is like outer loop and inner loop. So it is really common things in reality in our life to do things in such a way. All right, so it was while loop. Let's move to for loop. Okay, I will command this. So again, let's say we have the same task for us. I could do that with for loop, which even become more convenient for us. By the way, I could use this for E tip in my IntelliJ IDEA. So just put enter. And I see kind of structure which is ready. So, yeah, Okay, let's stay in IntelliJ IDEA. So I should still represent to you some concepts inside for loop and syntax. Okay, I will put. Okay, let me put, for example, 5 here. But yeah, we will get interesting results. But let's see. So this is it. Let me first of all maybe run that, and I will back and explain you how it works. So it is my first output without loops, and then I have my second output starting from 0 and finishing with 4. This is how it works here. Let's now speak about this syntax. All right. So the difference, main difference between while loop and for loop, that inside the for loop you have one more specific concept, which is counter. Counter. We have iteration, body of loop, condition of finishing the loop, and we have counter. Of course, in previous example, in while loop, we also had counter, but I could use something like while weather is fine, do something, and this weather is fine could be some different variable. Boolean. And so it is not always counter here, it is any condition here. But it for loop is created just to have counters. Okay, to be sincere, to be honest, inside a for loop, we could build for loop without counters. Yes, it is possible, but it had no sense to do that. Okay, so let's go. Syntax of for loop. Let's explain these brackets and what is inside. First, you have 3 parts. First part until this semicolon, second part until this second semicolon, and last part. Let me explain you how it works. So this first part we executed just in the very beginning. So it is kind of with our while loop to make this int I equal 0, and then put while, and this is condition which we could just have here and move on. The question is, what is this? How often this step will be executed? So the question is, this third part will be executed at the very end of each iteration. So we will execute this, and after that this part will be executed, and we will move into this part again. So it is the same like make while with these parameters. So now these 2 loops will work just exactly the same, but we have different syntax, and you could see that this syntax is quite more, how to say that, compact for counters than while. We have more lines here. We should remember, oh, do not forget make I++, and so on and so forth. So that's why many languages have this for syntax. So this is it, and now I will run debugger and show you how it works. Debug. So now we are here, and nothing happened still. So let's make one step forward. Now we have I equals 0. We see it here also. and we output this 0. Okay, let's move forward. New iteration I is equals 1 because we executed this part and we compared I1 is less than 5. That's why we move forward. You see, fourth iteration or fifth iteration, 4 less than 5. And let me ask you, regarding next iteration, will we have next iteration or not? Could you explain?
No.
Why no?
Because I less than 5, not less than
Okay, we will execute this operation. We will have I equal 5. Then we compare this 5 not less than 5. And that's why we will stop. Okay, let's check that. Yes, so we don't see any other iteration because it is exactly what we get. So that's why, let me ask you, if I want to have just exactly this output inside my for loop, what should I change here?
I++.
I++. It is I++. Where? Before? Before loop or what? What do you mean? Less or equals. Okay, let's try.
And int I equals 1.
And what?
And int I equals 1.
And int I equals 1 to put 1 here. Yeah? Are you sure? Any other changes? Okay, let's try. I will just run that. And let me separate this code. Alright, let's go. Oh, surprise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exactly correct. You are correct. So that was good corrections. So you see the result. So you should pay attention, guys, to this initial conditions, initial state of your counter, final state of your counter. So let me compare, for example, well, when we take Pascal type of loops. For Pascal, it is more convenient to start your counter from 1 and move to exact final counter value. For languages like C++, Java, and so forth, it is more, usually we use 0 and we use just less mark and this final, like how many operations do we want to have. So for example, we are not connected to this exact output. Of course, for this output we should we should have that, but let us have just something like we want to output these sharps 5 times, just 5 times, and I run it. One, two, three, four, 5. Of course, I could do this by this starting from 1, put less than 5. Will I get the same results?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is not quite typically for Java or C++ language. We usually, if we want to have some exact number of iterations, we are starting from 0 and finishing with this count of iterations, number of iterations, but using this less. It is not just requirement, but for you to know, for you to be familiar. All right? Okay. Okay, now what I want you to do, let me show your task, and I will ask you to do this task. Okay, so what? Do that. Where do I have? I have my tasks here. So I would like you to see that everything on your screen. yeah, hopefully you could see that now, not so, yeah. So, do you see your tasks here? Is it convenient for you to see?
Yeah.
Okay, guys online, hopefully you all also see that, right?
Right.
Okay, please try to make these 3 different tasks, let's say. It is first one, create for loop to get this output. So output just 1 0 in print. You use without print line, you use just print, and you have no this another line like break line. Yeah, so use just print here, print, let me, and only 1 0 at a time. So that's why you should use loop. Then you should have nested for loop and nested for loop inside your body of loop, and execute these times kind of your previous loop. And then it is interesting tasks also, think about that. Okay, so play with that. So, first of all, pay attention, please. So, this is interesting thing here. Int I. So, I'm not required to do that every time to declare new variable, because what do we see here? Inside this for loop, we declare new variable. But, for example, I could do this, int I. And then I have even error now, because variable I is already defined. Okay. What should I do? I could just use my another variable and just run it. So you not required to create new variable every time you create new for. But it is really, so in this case it is better still to declare this new variable and play with that. And this variable will just influence just this for loop. But sometimes if you use another variable, you could have errors, like for example we saw. So I want you just to know that you're not required to declare a new variable here, but it is nice to declare if you have this possibility. All right. What I want to show you that it is, so I will just delete this code. And I want to show you how could we use also our loops. So for example, I could have string variable, string, and I could, come on, scanner in equals, so I should import scanner. I will do it in a moment. New scanner system in. Okay, so I could play with this also strings and user input using loops. For example, while so I could play with my user and say input your input something about yourself. then I could get this input. So please think about this. What will I have here? So how this program will work? What do you think? Let's go line by line. And by the way, we played with this game with Andrei, and I recommend every one of you to play the role of a computer. So simplify your mind and say, I don't know any philosophy, ideas, concepts, desires of programmer, and so on. I just kind of stupid Java runtime environment, and I could do just what I see. So let's go. This line, 8th line, okay, I create new scanner. 9th line, I create new variable str and put this empty string there, right? Then I have a while loop. Oh my goodness, something strange here, but let be attentive. I have condition here. So what condition? What condition do I have here?
While string doesn't
If
equal.
if your string does not include m, it won't stop.
Okay, so is my string equal to n?
No.
No, that's why, what should I do? I should come inside the loop, in the body of the loop. Okay, I come here, and what do I do first? I input something about yourself. Okay, I see this output. Then, my dear user, please come. Then I'm Java runtime environment, I can't input anything. My user should input something. And so on and so forth. And then I will back here and compare user input. If user input equals n, then I stop. Else, I will go on and go on. And after that, I could say, for example, thank you for interesting conversation. Okay, and let me run that. Hopefully there is no errors here, but we'll see. Okay, input something about yourself. I'm Bachelor of Data Science student in AUK. Input something about yourself. Again. Input something about yourself. Oh yeah. And so on and so forth. Until I input n. I input n. Thank you for interesting conversation. Okay? So we just used loop to create interesting user interaction. Okay, this is it. This is how we could use loops also.
So it's like unless you type n, it always gives you something about yourself because there's an exclamation mark.
Yeah, exactly. Because exclamation mark here. Not, if not equals n, then play this game. Yeah. Okay. So my task to you. Yeah. This is it. So try to do this. Yeah, you could make it together, by the way. So this is my tip, how to create random value. So for example, my idea is this. Your computer create some value inside his head. 5 or 10 or 0 or I don't know. We don't know what value, because this this operation will give us some random value. And the game is how many iterations do we need to guess that value? Okay? So, your program proposed me, oh, please guess my value. And I said, is it 5? I put 5 in the user input. And computer says, oh no, it's too big. If that value is more than what computer have in X variable. So you have this loop. And until I input correct value, you asking me to input new values. And if I input correct value, you tell me excellent, and just stop this game. Okay? Explain that because it is correspondent to one another, like this code and the diagrams. Okay. So you see that. So first of all, we create scanner. Create scanner. It is boilerplate. Then this random stuff. Okay. Then we have some conversation with our user. So we call user to input the values. Then we get first value. Okay, and then our while loop begins. So we compare, is it this num value of user input here? Is it not equals, which means exclamation mark and equals, but because of my IntelliJ IDEA trying to decorate things, we have this beautiful mark here, but it is mark and equals. So if num is not equals to X, then we go into the body of our loop. And then inside of this body we have this if statement. If num is bigger than X, then we output to be. So it's user input is bigger than computer value, then we output to be. Else we print, oh, that's too small. And then, not forget, we get new value. That problems of our fans of infinite loops, they don't get this new value. You need to get new value, and then you have ability, maybe some option that finally you could guess the number. So that's why we have this new value of our user, and we come back to this while, and depending on what user made, which input user made, we have maybe repeat this many times until finally num is equal to X, and that's why this body of loop will not be executed, because we will stop this while loop, we will finish with that, done, because num is equal to X, and that's why we move further and we come to this final statement, and we just output excellent. So this is our program, and let me show you our flowchart for this program. Okay. How to make it more interesting to you to see. So we start our flowchart from the start, then we initialize x to random value, then we get user input num. Of course, we have some output. Hey, user, input your value, but in this diagram it is not presented. So then we move to this condition. Is num equals to X? or we could just simply put here very easily x equals to none, question mark. So, but if, to be correct, Sophia and Martha, in your program you have if x not equal to none. So I should a bit tweak this stuff here, but let it be. If x equals to none, we just print excellent and finish off the program. The interesting stuff is happening here with music on the background. And if x is not equal to none, we get some body of our loop, because we repeat these actions many times. So, is it smaller than x? False. Then we say it is too big, and what we do? We just move back, and move here. We connect this arrow with arrow. We could not connect this arrow with block. Please pay attention to that, because our block could have only one input. It is nature of our programs. Our program could have just only one input. I mean line of code have just only one input. We come to this line of code. Okay, so we connect arrows with arrows here, and then we start again our while loop, and again if it is not equal, so here we have false, again we compare. If it's too small, again we move here until it is finally equal and we stop there. So this is how flowchart should looks like. I like to have this vertical, not kind of put finish here or somewhere else, but make it kind of symmetry. Start here, finish here. We understand that our program moving somehow from top to the bottom. Okay, so this is the idea. All right, so at this moment, I suppose we could finish. I will leave you with but few pieces of advice. So with some of you, I just said, and write our algorithms or execution of our loops. Just take a piece of paper and say, okay, okay, and I take e is equal to 0 here. Then we move here. Then I is equal to 1. So it is so important for you. Don't think that it is some kind of old school stuff. It's not needed. To take just piece of paper for your algorithm and to play role of Java runtime environment and to think like a computer and to move through your lines and to check on your piece of paper what numbers do you have. It is so important, especially for you who commit programming just first time. So it is so important to move through that to understand why we have these results. First two, this piece of paper and pen. And second, it is debugger. When you run your program, you debug, you see values, you see every iteration, you see this parameter is this value is such. So I really want to leave you with these pieces of advice. So, okay, this is it. Thank you for your attention. So remember that simplification from my side to you with that assignment flowchart. You don't need to create the big flowchart. So I will fix that. But thank you for your attention. We had a nice day. So yeah.